Okay, it's Monday morning. I'm up by Barron's, and as you can see, dryland barley is starting to break the boot open and emerge. So we're going to have something here at least anyways. We had about 11 millimeters of rain here over the weekend, so that's basically the most moisture we've had since seeding here. So maybe it'll get to knee tall. Just up by Barron's at the moment here, and found another dryland barley field. Looks like it got hit by hail at some point in the last few days, so you can see some bruising appearing on it, and there's some damage on some of the stems. Some of them are busted off here. That one's just right above the awns, so there's definitely a little bit of damage happened in here. So I might have to get hail insurance out here to take a look at this and assess it. Here's some thistle caterpillars chewing away on a Canada thistle. These are probably better known as painted lady larvae. They primarily eat thistles, but they will attack other things if they're hungry enough. They'll go after soybeans, yellow peas, mostly broadleaf crops. But there's quite a few of them in here. I'm actually seeing more of these this year than I have ever before, really. Okay, here's something I'm just starting to see this year. These are the feeding marks from a cereal leaf beetle. So they're quite common. You see this all the time. I'm just starting to see it now. This is in a dryland barley field here, so usually it's not something to be terribly concerned about unless you see a whole pile of it. I'm in a soybean field right now that we just sprayed last week's 1.3 liters of Roundup to remove the thistles. There was a really high thistle pressure in this field. So now, because the thistles are dead, all over the ground and all over the soybeans, you see all these thistle caterpillars. These are painted lady caterpillars. And normally they wouldn't be much of a problem, but the pressure on them is so high, they are everywhere, and they're crawling across the ground looking for the next thing to eat as the thistles go down. You can see how many of them are on this thistle plant here. So we're gonna have to come in here and spray, and we're gonna use Coragen just so we have some residual control in here. That's a really good product for chewing, feeding insects, so we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, I'm out in the fall ride today, and it's getting pretty tall. It's definitely 4 feet tall now, up above my abdomen. It's so tall I can't even hardly find my summer student anymore. Eric, where are you?
Right there.
Right there. Oh, is that you?
Yeah.
Can you jump? There you are. I found you. What do you think of the rye?
They're tall, pretty tall.
Pretty tall?
Yeah.
Does it look good?
Yeah.
Does it look awesome?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's keep going, Daddy.
Okay. Alright, the fall rye is getting swaths, some pretty nice, big, impressive swaths. Eric's having a pretty hard time getting through it here. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you made her. How about you, Fen? Did you get through it? Yeah, you got through it. Just sweeping some canola that's just barely coming into bolt, and it's still relatively early in the morning here. It's only about 13 degrees, so it's cooler than ideal for sweeping. But look at what I'm finding here. So there's probably about, what would that be, 12 lygus in here, plus probably over 30 seed pod weevils for sure. So, and there are a couple little diamondback larvae in there as well. So there is, we're definitely over threshold here. If I come back here when it's 25, 26 degrees, it's probably going to be almost double that number. The bugs are just becoming active now. Alright, check this out. I'm in a drought-struck wheat field that has flushing Russian thistle here again. And there's a armyworm outbreak in the Russian thistle. So you can see them here. There's 3, 4, 5 on that cluster. Another one there. A couple more here. There's some on the ground. There's just an absolute pile of them chewing on this thistle here. So hopefully they just keep chewing away on the thistle and they don't run out of that and move on to what's left of the wheat. Some of these are some pretty good sized guys here too. Well, between armyworms and thistle caterpillars, starting to feel like all I've been doing the last 2 days is look at worms. There are so many of them everywhere. That wasn't 10 sweeps. You gotta do 10. No. Okay, I'm out in a irrigated field, saturated soils, and here's these funny patches floating on the water here, and these are all springtails. These are tiny, tiny little insects, about 1 millimeter in length at the most, and these guys feed on decomposing organic matter in the soil. And when the soil is saturated, they come up to the surface and float in pools like this. It's kind of interesting to see. Okay, Kirsten's going to demonstrate how to sweep canola properly. You sweep like a girl.
Thanks.
So what'd you find?
Some cabbage seed pod wheel, some flea beetles, some alfalfa looper, some diamondback moths.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like we're at threshold there. I would say so. Just checking out a canola field up by Carmen Gay, and there's a little spot of blister beetles here. There's a whole pile of these little guys all hanging out here, doing a little bit of feeding on the canola. And it seems like it's just a localized spot. There's just a couple square meters here with a high population, and then there's nothing around it. But very interesting to see so many of these guys already. Okay, up by Carmen Gay and the barley that got hailed here. This was just over a week ago, and it was suffered some pretty severe damage. What's going on in here now is it's tillering like mad. Now we've had moisture in here. There's almost every plant is sending up new tillers and new growth. So it's gonna those are gonna be producing ahead long after these ones that are here that are in flag leaf are out. So it's probably gonna look a real mess in a month or two. Finally got some flowering canola out here. We're still, fairly early bloom on this. This is about 10%, so we're a few days away from fungicide timing yet. Probably about 3 days, depending on what the weather does. Looks like we're going to get another storm today. This is down by McGrath. It's been raining fairly steadily down here. And it's 12 degrees Celsius, and it's an early wet morning. And we already are over threshold. So definitely is going to need to get some insecticide at fungicide timing. Matador silencer works great on canola for these cabbage seed pod weevils. Dryland barley down by McGrath is head emergence and looking really damn nice for dryland this year. I tell you, it's almost enough to make a guy cry when you head back to Nobleford or Carmen Gay and look at the dryland barley after being here. It is a world of difference. We're out in the cornfield today, and as you can see, it's almost knee-high and it's not quite the end of June, so things are looking pretty good out here. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.